The rain hammered against the windshield like 1,000 angry fists, and Sarah's hands trembled on the steering wheel as her old sedan sputtered and died on the side of the highway. In the back seat, her 4-year-old daughter Emma clutched her worn teddy bear, eyes wide with fear. Sarah's phone showed 1% battery and no signal. Her hands dropped to her lap as the weight of everything crashed. Down, the eviction notice stuffed in her purse, the hospital bills from Emma's treatment last month, and now this. She pressed her forehead against the steering wheel and let out a shaky breath. How much more could one person take? Through the rain-streaked window, she watched luxury cars speed past without a second glance, their red taillights blurring into the darkness like distant, unreachable dreams. Sarah had been driving back from a job interview 3 towns over, a receptionist position that paid barely enough to cover rent, let alone the mounting debt that kept her awake at night. Emma had been so good all day, sitting quietly in waiting rooms, coloring in her second-hand coloring book, never complaining even though Sarah knew she was hungry. They'd shared a single sandwich from a gas station for lunch, because that's all Sarah could afford. "Mommy, why did the car stop?" Emma's small voice cut through the sound of rain. "It's just tired, sweetie," Sarah said, forcing brightness into her voice. "Like when you need a nap." She tried the ignition again. Nothing but a weak clicking sound. Her mechanic had warned her last month that the car was on its last legs. But what choice did she have? Public transportation didn't run to her cleaning jobs, and she needed every shift she could get. Sarah grabbed her phone one more time, praying for even a flicker of signal. But the screen went black. Dead. She looked at Emma in the rearview mirror, at those trusting brown eyes that believed Mommy could fix anything, and felt her heart crack a little more. Then, through the sheets of rain, headlights appeared. A sleek black Mercedes pulled up behind them and stopped. Sarah's first instinct was fear, a woman alone with her child on a dark highway. But desperation outweighed caution. The driver's door opened and a man in an expensive suit stepped out, immediately soaked by the downpour. He jogged to her window. Sarah cracked it open just an inch. "Are you okay?" he shouted over the storm. He looked to be in his 50s, with silver-threaded hair and kind eyes. "Do you need help?" "Our car died," Sarah said, hating how her voice shook. "I just need to call for a tow, but my phone is dead." "Let me take a look," he said. "I'm pretty good with engines." Sarah hesitated. Everything about him screamed wealth. The custom-tailored suit, the designer watch catching the light from his car, the way he carried himself with quiet confidence. Men like him didn't stop to help people like her. But something in his face, a genuine concern that seemed to transcend their obvious class difference, made her nod. She popped the hood, and he disappeared behind it. Emma pressed her face against the window, watching. After a few minutes, he returned to her window, rain dripping from his hair. "Your battery terminals are completely corroded, and I think your alternator is shot," he said. "This car isn't starting tonight. Let me drive you both home. It's not safe to wait here." "I can't. We don't even know you," Sarah protested, though the thought of sitting in the cold car all night made her stomach clench. "My name is James," he said, pulling out his wallet and showing her his driver's license through the window gap. "I'm a father. I have a daughter not much older than yours. I promise you're safe. Please let me help." Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe it was the way he'd said he was a father, but Sarah found herself agreeing. She gathered their few belongings while James pulled out a massive golf umbrella and helped them to his car. The Mercedes interior smelled like leather and expensive cologne, a stark contrast to her car's permanent smell of French fries and air freshener. "I'm Sarah, and this is Emma," she said quietly as he started driving. "We live in Riverside, the apartment's on Oak Street." "If that's too far?" "It's on my way," James lied smoothly. Sarah suspected it wasn't, but she was too grateful to argue. Emma, with the fearlessness of childhood, piped up from the back seat. "Your car is really fancy, Mr. James. Are you rich?" "Emma!" Sarah's face flushed hot. But James just laughed, a warm sound that filled the car. "I'm comfortable, sweetheart. What's your teddy bear's name?" "Mr. Buttons. He's been with me since I was born." "Mommy says he's special." As they drove through the rain, James and Emma chatted about teddy bears and favorite colors, while Sarah stared out the window, feeling like she'd stumbled into someone else's life. When they pulled up to her apartment complex, rundown building with flickering porch lights and cracked concrete, she saw James glance around without judgment, just taking it in. "Thank you," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. "You have no idea what this means. I don't know how I would have—" She stopped, unable to finish. James reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. "Call this number tomorrow. It's my personal mechanic. Tell him I sent you. He'll tow your car and fix it." "I can't afford," Sarah began. "It's already taken care of," James said gently. "Please let me do this." Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks. "Why are you being so kind to us? You don't even know us." James was quiet for a moment, his hands still on the steering wheel. 5 years ago, my wife and daughter were in a car accident. They were stranded on the highway at night, scared and alone. A stranger stopped and stayed with them until help arrived. He didn't have to, but he did. I never got to thank him." His voice grew thick. "Maybe this is how I finally can." Sarah couldn't speak. She just nodded, clutching the business card like a lifeline. 3 weeks passed. True to his word, James's mechanic had fixed her car and refused payment. "Already handled, ma'am," he'd said with a wink. Sarah had tried to find James to thank him properly, but the business card only had the mechanic's information. Then came the day everything changed. Sarah had finally gotten the receptionist job, and her first assignment was to attend the company's quarterly meeting. She walked into the massive conference room, Emma in tow because daycare had fallen through, and froze. At the head of the gleaming mahogany table, standing in front of a projection screen, wearing another perfect suit, was James. But here, everyone called him Mr. Whitmore, the CEO, the man worth millions who'd graced the cover of business magazines, the man who'd gotten soaked in the rain to fix a stranger's car. Emma's shriek of joy shattered the corporate silence. "That's the man who fixed our car, Mommy." She broke free from Sarah's grasp and ran straight to him. "Mr. James, it's me, Emma, and Mr. Buttons." The room full of executives went silent, all eyes turning to watch their CEO, known for his ruthless business tactics and stern demeanor, break into the widest smile as he scooped up a 4-year-old girl in a hug. "Emma and Mr. Buttons!" "I've wondered how you both were doing." He looked up at Sarah, who stood frozen with mortification and shock. "Miss Sarah, welcome to Whitmore Industries. I hope you're settling in well." Later, after the meeting, James found Sarah in the hallway. "You didn't know," he said. It wasn't a question. "I had no idea." "I'm so sorry, Mr. Whitmore. Emma shouldn't have—" "James," he corrected gently. And Emma reminded everyone in that room of something important. "We're all human first." He paused. "My door is always open, Sarah, and I mean that." As the months passed, Sarah flourished at Whitmore Industries. James became a mentor, then a friend. He taught her that kindness wasn't about grand gestures, but small moments of humanity. She learned that the night he stopped wasn't an aberration. He'd built his entire company on the principle that success meant nothing if you couldn't lift others up with you. On Emma's 5th birthday, James showed up at their new apartment, a nicer one Sarah could finally afford, with a giant teddy bear. "For Mr. Buttons," he said. "Everyone needs a friend." Emma hugged him tight, and Sarah saw tears in his eyes. She understood then that saving them that rainy night had saved him too. Reminded him why any of it mattered. Because in the end, wealth and power fade. But the moment you choose to see another person's humanity, to stop when others drive past, to offer help when you could easily look away, that's what echoes into eternity. That's what transforms not just lives, but souls. And it all started with a broken-down car, a desperate mother, and a man who remembered what it meant to be human.